SpaceHamster.
Hey, Hammy here. Today we'll be talking about the cult classic game, SPORE. It's really the only game I can think of that completely encapsulates the craziness and creativity of people, while it provides you with an incredibly unique, albeit flawed sandbox gameplay experience. So what exactly is SPORE? Well, to put it shortly, it follows your custom-created creature all the way from Cellular Stage to Spacefaring Nation. Wait, did I say nation?
What I meant to say was empire.
Along the way, you continuously upgrade your creature, giving them various plug-and-play parts, and even design other things like their vehicles and homes as you eventually set out to other planets to make fat stacks of cash and wage war on Mickey Mouse, that capitalistic scumbag. I remember being super hyped for this. I was always watching videos of pre-release gameplay. There's footage of stages out there that never made it to the final version of the game. And honestly, I'll never forget the first time I found out how big the scale of the game truly was.
But eventually you earn the interstellar drive. And so we pull out again.
That might sound antiquated now, but my 2007 mind was blown! I mean, it was this moment that I knew I was gonna love the game. An entire procedurally generated universe to explore. It's like I'm Picard, man. If Picard had like 3 extra arms and a big floppy dick. The generation in the game is constantly pulling from other people's creations. They're nightmarish and erotic creations. The game was designed by Will Wright of SimCity and The Sims fame. The basic pitch of the game is that it's a life simulation, not completely unlike The Sims, but taking a more scientific evolutionary approach. If by evolution, you mean memes. And what exactly do I mean by that? Well, let's just say I don't think there's another game I've played where I massacre entire races of creatures, asserting your dominance over them and the land by collecting their parts, only to have part of your party be abducted by a UFO fidget spinner, and then you and your companions discover and then die to Epic Ridley. It's awesome. The game is split up into 5 different stages. At the very start of the game, you simply click on a planet and name it whatever you want, after deciding if you want to start out as an herbivore or a carnivore. I've got the perfect name for this planet. Welcome to Burritoville. Life begins on Burritoville as an asteroid crashes into the planet. And thus begins the first stage of the game. The Cellular Stage. The only thing you're really doing in this stage is swimming around and getting food. You could be an herbivore, an omnivore, or objectively the best, only because I was kind of shoehorned into it, the carnivore. It's when you're a hardcore mofo who goes around killing everyone in sight and turning them to meat chunks, which then equals meat money. Yeah, that's right, I said meat money.
So tasty.
Once you get enough meat money, you can find a mate and procreate. That's when you're introduced to the creature editor, where you can plop some more parts onto your creature, adjusting the way it looks and functions with the other parts you collect. And then, of course, you can name your creature. Mine are called Blorbos. Blorbo! Blorbo's coming. He's coming, you better watch out. You can find new parts by killing creatures with those parts, or by stumbling upon them through meteorites. What's great is that every part has a very specific purpose for your creature. You can be anything from nimble and mobile to slow and aggressive. Just watch out for the huge guys. Oh god, get away from me! Oh, I need that part though! Oh my god, he's still chasing me! No! Ah! This stage is the most simplistic, but it is still kind of important because it determines the type of creature you're going to have. Throughout the different phases of the game, you get these special abilities or perks, and they're all completely dependent on whether you're an herbivore, carnivore, or omnivore. So at least there's some kind of planning to be had. Which I, kind of forgot about before I murdered most of the cellular world. Well, looks like we're carnivores. Well, it wasn't that long before all that murdering caught up with me, and now I have a pea-sized brain. You know what that means? It's time for the creature phase. It's time to deck out our guy and head to land. I'll just give him a leg, adjust a few things here and there,
And we're off! To land, Blorbos! We will conquer this world!
You know, I've always thought that the creature stage, although simple, was one of the best, more fleshed out segments of the game. The objective of this part of the game becomes exploring, gathering new parts, and getting enough DNA points to make your creature whatever you want them to be. In order to get DNA points, you have to go around befriending the locals, communicate with them in their native tongue, or you can go for the easier route, murder them! Every time you either befriend or take out a colony of creatures, you usually get a few parts to play around with and some DNA points to spend.
So you know what that means? Ah, yeah!
That's right, it's back to the creature creator. You'll actually be here quite a bit throughout this phase of the game because you're constantly getting new parts to play with. It's almost like you're a cyborg or something who digs up parts from bone piles in your enemies and attaches them to yourself.
You are next.
And a lot of those parts that you find are actually significantly better stat-wise. The game tracks all the changes you make to your creatures, so you get this really cool history of how your creature changed over time. Blorbo ended up going through a lot of different transformations. At one point, he even looked like Gru from Despicable Me.
Completely by accident.
Towards the end of the creature phase, though, Blorbos were looking like this.
They have anime eyes to see into their opponent's souls. They sprouted wings to jump and glide higher than any before them.
And they have nipples that spit poison.
Those babies played an integral part in the Great War against Epic Ridley.
Well, that and the fact that he definitely got stuck on something.
But gosh dang it if we didn't win!
Blorbo!
Blorbo's coming!
To consume Epic Ridley! You know, this game is probably better explained through the stories and events that happen throughout your journey more than just actually talking about it, so I'm gonna spit off a few things that happen. One of the first nests that I encountered was the Chukon, who I befriended with my wily charms.
But it wasn't long until they were set upon by the Great Boo Clan.
They're what I like to call nightmare fuel.
So I definitely had to murder them all to make my new friends feel safe. I'd say that's a job well done.
The Boos, although terrifying, aren't even some of the worst things that I ran into. At one point, I ran into a race of creepy-looking Furbies. One time, I was running from a fight that I definitely didn't start, only to be set upon and murdered by a bunch of red pigmen. No, no,
No, stay away, Big Yoshi!
He stunned me. Stop it, he's so relentless. I was just out here minding my own business and suddenly I'm dealing with the Mario Odyssey ship.
Oh my god, it's abducting things! What kind of experiments are you performing up there, Mario, you sick son of a—
Yeah, there's a bunch of events that can happen to you throughout your time in the creature phase. Well, I mean, UFOs can show up, you can find old meteorites or crash-landed alien ships. And honestly, I didn't even know that if you tried to swim out into the ocean, you just die to a huge sea creature.
Well, it looks like it's that time again. It's time for the Blorbos to migrate to a new nest.
Farewell, you brave and mighty Blorbo.
One day we will reunite. But probably not when we look like Gru.
So I guess I haven't even really covered what's going on here. The game has actually become kind of a survival game. You have to actively manage your hunger, which means you gotta eat from trees if you're an herbivore, or you gotta kill stuff if you're a carnivore. Once you've survived for a while and gathered enough DNA points, you'll eventually get smarter.
And that means a big brain.
So you're gonna wanna go out and make some big brain plays until your big brain can't get no big no more. There are some last minute things that we'll want to do before finishing up this stage. We'll want to keep gathering parts so we can customize the final form of our creature. This can actually be a bit grindy. Secondly, you can actually take a few friends with you to the next stage. Well, kind of. The things that you take with you will actually become your pets.
Avengers, assemble! We have Blorbo, King Dedede, Birdo,
and Poe. X gonna give it to you what? Open up the doors for real. Knock, knock, we're here to steal your meat money. I couldn't find anyone else that I really wanted that I hadn't already eradicated, so, hopefully he gets abducted.
Before long, the Blorbo discovers Stick. My god, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I guess they discover fire too. Now it's off to the tribal stage, and to be honest, this stage and the civilization stages respectively are probably the worst in the game. They're the least fleshed out, and the simplistic nature that works in favor of the first two stages seems like more of a hindrance in these two. Because I mean, in reality, these stages are just really simplistic real-time strategy games, and not even good ones at that. But hey, at least you can start clothing your creature though. Blorbos have really ascended as a race. My guy dual-wields shields for maximum armor class bonus. Okay, I lied. They're hats. They're just squished hats. Well, the good news is that I befriended the golems that were nearby after my pet Poe got abducted by a fidget spinner. Casualties of war are just a fact of nature, but it's moments like this that give me hope. So the objective of this mode is to again befriend or wipe out the different villages that spring up on the map randomly. It can be pretty unpredictable, and you can quickly get overwhelmed early on if you're taking it slow and you don't know exactly what's going on. None of the other villages actually interact with each other, and if you leave them alone, they eventually turn aggressive. So when all's said and done, they just start sprinting to attack you as soon as they show up, so you inevitably have to deal with multiple attacks back to back to back. Just leave me alone, gosh dang! Oh good, the pumpkin tribe that I befriended is sending a meat basket. Yay. They're such nice neighbors. So you have your own village now, and you can customize the nodes with different buildings that act as equipables for your tribe. If you want to make some real friends, you're gonna have to get some musical instruments and show off your epic skills. All those garage band practices are finally paying off. You can also just grab a bunch of axes and completely wipe out the villages. It doesn't really matter which you do. Either way, you'll get some new schematics for buildings, so the choice is really up to you. You're also rewarded with a murderer's keepsake in the form of a totem that represents the choices you've decided to make along the way. Honestly, no regrets. But we all know that the best part about this mode is that you can do this. That's so cool. Cool is the right word, right?
No, not again!
Luigi's trying to get to my meat stash!
Hit him with the nipple spit!
That'll teach him. That'll teach him good. Honestly, there's not much to say about this mode. You just kind of spam units and take everything over. And once you've defeated all the villages, it's time to go to the Civ stage. Well, I hate to be the one to break it to you, but the Civ stage is basically the tribal stage again. But instead of controlling people, you now control vehicles, boats, and aircrafts in an attempt to take over spice geysers.
He who controls the spice controls the world.
Because that's how you make all your money. And money's pretty important because that's how you create all your burrito buggies. Oh, right. So instead of designing and upgrading your creature, you now get to create buildings for your cities and cars. And I've got the perfect idea.
Burritoville's city capital will be Taco Bell.
The other cities will cower in fear of my burrito buggies.
They are completely unstoppable.
Okay, maybe they're not the best, so we'll just spam a bunch of them.
Quantity over quality, the Taco Bell motto.
There is something quite satisfying about seeing the Taco Bell I spent an hour creating
show up in a cutscene where the Blorbos are wearing chef hats.
Like I said before, this mode works in essentially the same way as the tribal stage, only this time you're trying to take over the entire world. You can do that in a few different ways. You can capture cities, you can convert them with religion, or you can completely and utterly annihilate your enemies. The power of my Bowser Jr. aircraft army, supplemented by my burrito buggies, oh, and my sharks,
will completely destroy all their hopes and dreams. Bow down to the bell.
Eventually you take over the whole planet, and now we can finally go to the last phase of the game. That's right, it's time for the space stage. It's by far the coolest stage in the entire game, if only because of the scope of it all. Just like in the pre-release gameplay, you're basically allowed to go wherever you want and explore an entire galaxy. The game basically becomes a huge sandbox where all the mechanics start to come together. You can eventually shape worlds, terraform and populate planets with new life,
colonize and customize new cities,
trade with Yoda. Yeah, so it turns out the first sentient creature I ran into in the universe was the Yoda Empire. And all contradictions of that aside, we became good friends and established trading routes for the betterment of both species. Well, I mean, I guess his ecosystem does get ravaged by disease every once in a while, but I mean, I just go down there and zap it with a laser and everything's good. At least they're like way better than the My Little Pony race that I ran into. I can't stand their voices. Shut up! Gosh! But yeah, I'll be back. You got good prices on stuff. You see, Blorbos have become sophisticated beings. We're space travelers now. Have you seen the hat and beard? We've denounced our carnivore ways in search of a greater peace through learning and, of course, capitalism. Meeting new sentient races, terraforming as many planets as I possibly can, optimizing spice production rates, and controlling all known spice trade in the galaxy. Well, that was until Mickey showed up. The Mickey Mouse Empire has been nothing but trouble for the Blorbos. Well, first it was the giant space bunnies. But we sure did eventually show them what happens if you mess with the Blorbos. And maybe now the other galactic races will get in line. Nope, everyone's pissed at me. Blorbo! Blorbo's coming! To annihilate your race. You know, I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface of what is actually possible in this mode. I don't want to downplay how genuinely cool a lot of the game's elements actually are. That sense of exploration and discovery is there, and it's only made better by the fact that you're running into people's creations from all over the world. You truly never know what you're gonna find. All I know for certain is that it'll be a sad day once the servers eventually go down. It's just a really weird, unique, and fascinating game. And honestly, even with all its flaws and even the fact that it's a bit repetitive towards the end, I still can't recommend the game enough. Not very often are there games that are this ambitious. Create your own creature and take them to the stars. And hey, you know, maybe you'll see some really cool stuff along the way. And I can think of no better way to end our Burritoville journey than with this. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been meaning to talk about this game for a super long time, so I'm really glad to have gotten around to it. And in fact, I streamed the entire game over on my Twitch channel, so if that's something you're interested in, be sure to go give that a follow. Like the video, subscribe for more videos like this. And of course, thanks as always to all the artists out there drawing me art, all the patrons out there supporting me. And if you just can't wait for more videos, I got 2 more videos for you right there. Alright, I'm gonna go now. Bye!